I had heard through the grapevine if you were a pigeon handler.
Yeah, for a short period of time. And I first got in the Army, and at 517th at Camp McCall, I was in a communication platoon. We were training, you know, with the radios, and we had some pretty crude radios. We had a lot of cavalry stuff because they looked at the Airborne in those days as the old cavalry. They like the new cavalry. Instead of going out there with a horse, they go out there with an airplane and a parachute, and they land behind the lines and they do deep reconnaissance, and they can make a raid somewhere real fast on the horses and get back. So we had radios that the cav used to have. They had big long stakes on them. You hooked them in the stirrups, and you could, when you did they were on a staff, and in the middle was this round bowl. They didn't work very well, but anyway, they had this radio here, but this thing in your stirrup, and you could ride. So once they have the guy jump with this damn thing, and then you would run around, you set it and stuck it in the ground. But at any rate, they also had pigeons. They still had pigeons. They only had pigeons. The Signal Corps was responsible for the pigeons. They always had, on a big post, they had a loft, a pigeon loft, which is like a chicken coop. And they had the pigeons in there, so we got pigeons. And you were a T5 if you were the Pigeoneer of the battalion. And so I said, that's an easy way to get to be a Pigeoneer. I mean, to be a T5, and I'll get some promotion here. So I volunteered to be the Pigeoneer, and I got the job. And it was great the first couple of months, and then we went on our first big exercise with our pigeons. And you could either tie them to your risers, your harness, and two little vests went around the pigeon zipper, and he'd jump with you tied to your harness. Or you had a little basket you could throw out first. It had about 6 or 8 of them in the basket, and if you could lucky enough to find it on the ground, once you got on the ground with your parachute, he didn't go with you, or they didn't go with you. But anyway, we went on a big exercise, and see, the last 3 or 4 pages in the old message writing book, used to be made of tissue paper. And so you could write the message on tissue paper, roll it up like a cigarette, and put it in a little tube that would fit on the pigeon's leg. So we made this battalion drop out in the cotton field somewhere down there near Camp McCall at night, a night drop. And the colonel, the battalion commander, I was with him, and he says, go get your pigeons and bring them over. We're going to send a few messages back to the regiment. And so he wrote a few messages, rolled them up, put them in the little tubes on their legs. And we had 2 pigeons, I guess, throw it up, and it went up in a tree, and it landed in the tree, a big, tall pine tree. And we had another pigeon, got another pigeon, and made another message, put it in the thing, send him up. This guy went up in the tree and joined his buddy up in the tree. And then we were out there in the dark trying to find stones, and it's hard to find stones in the sand hills of North Carolina at night. Usually we had most of the things we threw were pine cones. And we were throwing pine cones and trying to get those pigeons to leave the tree. They never did leave the tree. They wouldn't fly anywhere. So my colonel said, that's the end of that. No more pigeons for me. So I could see there was no future in being a Pigeoneer. So I requested that they take me out of that job. I'll carry a radio for the colonel and not pigeons.
And you said that was an actual MOS?
That was an MOS, 516. 516 was the MOS. It had a manual on pigeons. And pigeons have done a lot of good things for the Army over the years, and they're still useful. I mean, I still believe in them. I've seen things they could do since then, but carrying messages. And we know we have some heroes that are pigeons. The one mounted pigeon in the Pentagon that saved the lost battalion in World War I. He got back and he was wounded on the flight, and I mean, they've done courageous things for us. So I don't write off pigeons ever, but there was no career in it for me, unfortunately. Very fortunately.